Hello and welcome to this edition of Minstrels on the Block, where we bring you the finest singer-songwriters in the Valley area. I'm Brian Mallard, your host, and today's special guest is Regan D. Floria. Regan, how you doing?
Very good. It's good to be here.
Good to have you on the show. Tell me about yourself. Where were you born?
I was born in Thousand Oaks, California. I lived the majority of my life. I lived in California, but I got to travel a lot. Just due to my family's business. I grew up in the ministry. Mm-hmm. My father was a Christian music producer and composer. My mother was an actress. And she was on the Dean Martin show, Sonny and Cher show, Andy Williams show. Cool. Yeah, she was pretty amazing. I have an incredible picture of her and Dean Martin together. They played a joke on Dean Martin during one of the episodes, and she was one of the singers, and she was walking down the stairs, and they had, rehearsed it quite a few times. And she was supposed to sing it very straight, which is what the singers did. She wasn't a gold digger. She was a singer. And he called her the kid. And she came down the stairs, and the producers had decided to play a trick on Dean. So when she stepped onto that first stair, she sang out her line in this complete operatic way, which just made Dean fall apart and laugh. And so he came down, and at that moment, he hugged her, and it's the most beautiful picture. So
the picture was taken at
that moment.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was fantastic.
So tell me a little bit about, how did your parents get into that?
Well, my mom was born in Michigan. Her father was actually a minister as well, so she didn't grow up in any kind of that industry at all, but she was such a great singer. She can pick up a sheet of music and just sing. I mean, she can walk into any studio. She's an incredible sight reader. One of the best I've ever seen chorally. And my father knew from a very young age that he wanted to be in ministry. He actually just wrote a letter to all of us kids. There are 9 of us. I know. And in it he said, as all of my friends were shooting the breeze over a cup of coffee, I was in my dorm room on my knees praying, that I could be used in this world and that God would use me and my talents for Him. Right. So he got into ministry very young. He started working with Ralph Carmichael. If you know who that is, he's just an amazing conductor and composer. And so my father started working with him and then started a few different ministries and ended up going into the Continental Singers, starting this ministry. Mm-hmm. These are choirs that would go basically across the world and sing. So 32-piece choirs along with live instruments, and we'd have an orchestra. And I learned I have a picture of myself when I was 4 standing in front of a full orchestra conducting them in a 4-count. And so I was, as my parents traveled a lot, we didn't necessarily grow up on the day-to-day basis with them, and sometimes I think people can look at and say, oh, you had to struggle in that, but realistically I was brought up by so many more people than most people ever encounter. I mean, international people to across this country, and different styles of music, and just different places, getting to travel different places and learning that my world is not very small. Yeah. That much, much bigger than just living in one tiny little area and only knowing one hometown with one little light. Right.
My hometown didn't even have a light.
So I was definitely blessed. And I remember my nursery, which was on the bottom floor of our house, was across the hall from where my father's piano was. Mm-hmm. And so when they would come home, it didn't matter how late it was or whatnot, he would go and he would start, arranging music and playing right across, and that's how I went to sleep.
Wow.
And listening to him and, write all these different parts. So it wasn't just, beautifully playing a song, and he will tell you this, that he's an amazing choral arranger, but he is not a great piano player. So it was more like, dun, 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 that I would get to hear all the different things to one song. Right. So I think that's where my knowledge of harmonies and wanting to create so much more. I never want anything that I write to be flat. Right, I want lots of different levels and everything. And when I work with choirs, which I've done a lot, taken tours on the road and conducted, and have written for a lot of choirs and stuff. I love the whole picture. It's just like a painting. You can start with an oil canvas, and then as you build and you build and you build, then you see, a whole world come to life.
The Mona Lisa.
Yeah. I have to have a bigger smile than her.
Now, at what point did it click for you that even, because some people's parents are into something, but they decided to do something else. What point did it click for you that that's what you wanted to do?
I don't think it ever didn't click. I think that I started matching tones when I was 6 months old with my parents, and I think because I was always hearing new music constantly, I had a need to want to hear something in my head. Mm-hmm. That sounds a little tragic, doesn't it? But I actually wrote my first song when I was 3, and I had it published when I was 4. And up until, there isn't so much money in this country, I was winning an award every year with ASCAP, for being the youngest member of ASCAP. And so I knew there was never a question in my head, and music has always meant so much to me, and I was always so very passionate about it. Mm-hmm. And I can hear a melody that might not touch anybody. There doesn't have to be a lyric to it, just a melody, a simple melody. And my dad said that when I was 2 years old, we had those huge speakers, like the old stereos, old record players. Yeah, I'm not dating myself right now. I was sitting in front of the speaker, and I still do this. I still, when I want to be encompassed by music, I will still sit there and just, in front of a speaker or whatnot, so nothing else can touch me. And but I was sitting there, and I was listening. He'd written a musical called Twinkle, and all about the North Star. And how it led, everybody to Jesus. And I was sitting there listening to that, and I was crying. I was 2 years old, and I was on my knees in front of this big speaker, and I was crying. And he comes down, and he's like, "Rigi, what's wrong with you?" And I said, "It's just so sad, Daddy. It's just so sad." So I don't think it's necessarily that the song has to be sad. I just was very touched by music. Mm-hmm. And I think I was also very touched by all the people that I was brought up within music, that led me and encouraged me and pushed me, and never they were always very supportive in me, continuing on and learning more and wanting to teach me everything that they had to teach me.
Moving forward, when did you actually start your own career? And tell us a little bit about your career.
Well, when like I said, because I started writing so young, I didn't stop writing. I continued to keep writing. By the time I was 10, I had kind of a conglomeration of songs that I had written. Because of my father's music ministry, the Continental Singers, I had always kept begging him to start a Young Continentals, because I wanted to go on the road. I wanted to dance. I wanted to do, everything that they were doing. And I really felt that our country needed a younger group to do that, to encourage students to go to schools, to go to churches, and get more people involved. So about the age of 12, I think I had bugged him enough that he finally said that we could try it. Cool. And pulled together a bunch of my songs, went into the studio. I got to co-produce it with my dad, and had this kids album. And then we ended up taking that on the road that year. Cool. And we had one big tour that went on the East Coast and one that went on the West Coast. And so in that respect, that's kind of where I kept going in music and writing and trying to, create more. But also, when I was my mom says when I was about 4, I put my hands on my hips and I said, "I'm going to be an actress." That's what I'm going to do. And so they always had me involved in smaller plays and whatnot. And I was as well dancing, in different studios and stuff at the time. And started doing a lot of really big shows in big churches and local theaters and different things like that. I actually got to perform at the Crystal Cathedral, in California when I was 5, I think. So, they were so encouraging in letting me, try everything and just get involved in whatever I could. And I know I choreographed when I was in 5th grade. I choreographed my first musical. In fact, Kirk Cameron was there. We were talking about him earlier. And so I think that's where I knew that I loved the theater. I knew that was the one place that I could do everything that I felt that I was gifted at. I could sing and dance and act and all at the same time, and just give 100% of myself. So I continued on in that. I actually went to Performing Arts High School. I was blessed to do that, OSHA in Orange County, California. And we would go to school from some 8 in the morning till 6 at night if we were
Wow.
doing shows. It was very, I mean, talk about fame. It was very extensive in your training, and they trained you in methodical acting and improv and everything. Like,
Wow.
yeah, it was very extensive. When I went out of there, I actually went to a performing arts college, but ended up only spending a year there because I got hired by a church in Ohio. And I was asked to go out there and write a musical and
Nice.
teach drama classes. And to what 19-year-old do you not just go, I'm going to get paid, you know, to do what I want to do? And before then, all the way through high school and stuff, just to backtrack a little bit, I was doing a lot of TV and commercials, and you know, I was making money. So at that point, it wasn't necessarily a struggling artist. I mean, I became one later, but as we all do.
Yeah.
But I just kept moving and trying different things. So, and then came back to LA after Ohio and did a plethora of theater. I mean, at one point, I think I did 6 shows in 8 months, which meant that while I was performing one, I was rehearsing another one.
Wow.
And I mean, was very spent in that. But I backed off of music during that time. I was really focusing on acting due to a lot of things that were going on in my life, people that were involved in my life. I think I'd gotten a little bit discouraged that I wasn't sounding necessarily, say, like when I would go into work on projects, like certain people in my life would want me to sound just like this person that was big or just like that person that was doing that.
Yeah.
And that was hard because I was me.
Yeah.
And I've always just been me. And now that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
And one quick question before we go check out one of Regan's songs, which should be cool. What brought you from California to here?
To Georgia. Yeah, all of my friends laugh because they say, "Where do you live?" Georgia. Yes.
Georgia.
Georgia. I was actually married to the military. I'm no longer married. I am a single mom of 2 amazing little girls, Aria and Lily. And so we moved first to Fort Stewart, and we lived there for about 2 years, and then we moved here. And I've been here for approximately 3 years. And as most people would look at it and say, gosh, Regan, you know, you've been all over the world. I mean, I've traveled to every state in the United States, most continents, excluding Africa, and there's a couple other places I haven't been, but it's, you know. I just have to say, though, like being on here with you and the experiences that I've had in the last, 3 years, and really getting back into the music scene and doing my own music over the last year and a half, is Columbus, Georgia, and I think being so close to Atlanta is so filled with talented, amazing musicians. And there's so much art that goes on here. And I've never been, in all the places that I've lived, I've never been in such a community where, there can be a whole lot of really great musicians, a lot of people that, can, do shows or, pack out this or, work on this project, but everybody helps each other. Yeah. And I can say I have not been not blessed. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, that works.
I have been unbelievably blessed with loving, giving, talented, supportive, encouraging, amazing musicians and people in the production, and you, and I mean just so many people that have given to me to encourage me to keep doing what I'm doing, and given me that allowance to be able to do it. Yeah. Not feeling stuck, because I very well could have. Yeah. I always say, of all the places I could have been left, I'm so thankful that I was left here.
It amazes me just how many people, musicians, when we started the show, Rusty back there behind the camera, when we started the show, I had no idea just how many there were, and I'm surprised on a weekly basis. Rusty says, we signed up so-and-so to come on. And it's like there's an unbelievable amount of musicians.
You get to see so many different kinds of artists. Like, it's not just people that do what we do. Like,
right, yeah, everything.
So many different kinds.
Let's check out one of Regan's songs. We'll be right back right after this.
This is PB&J.
You were the anger Mayan, I can feel it within when you made me smile. What you did to me starts in the depths of my heart, made life worthwhile. life feels wrong. Life feels wrong. I hope you like your song. You were the end of my end. I can feel it within when you made me smile. What you did in me starts in the depths of my heart.